Yo, Cigar Vibes, Cognac Conversation. Episode 3, we in this thing.
But ain't no steps in here. It's Lil Pat, Trick, bitch, money.
What's going on with it? Yo. Cigar Vibes, Cognac Conversation. We back in this thing. Episode 3. In here today, I got my man, Mr. Herb, sitting here coming through.
What's going on? What's up?
And behind the boards, none other than the queen of all things indie, Miss Lovey. Oh, man.
I'm killing shit.
That's what I was waiting on. I like that tag.
I'm killing shit.
Yeah.
That's what it said.
I'm gonna kill some shit.
Yeah.
You might as well don't put that in the automatic.
Right?
Like,
No, I changed it up a lot.
Shit.
Killing shit.
What's going on, people? It's been a while, man.
Yeah, we missed you last week
It's been a rough one, man.
in the radio world.
It's been a rough 2 weeks.
I agree.
Before we start, how was your week?
You know, I'm just happy to be here at the end of the day, generating energy, and that's where I'm at.
Right on. I see you accomplishing a lot of good things out there. A couple of rewards, a couple of acknowledgments.
Oh, you know, they be trying to slide me with the accolades, you know what I'm saying? But, you know.
Boss lady status.
Shout out to the Sneaker Ball Entrepreneurs Award and Miss Tiffany over there at Showtime Bar and Lounge. I believe she's the one that does the Sneaker Ball. She owns a dope-ass spot across around the corner. That would be mobbing too. So
Like
it's a lounge. Check it out.
Wow.
It's pretty dope. Right on the corner in Greens Point.
Okay.
Most definitely, yeah.
Mr. Herb, man, what's going on with it, man? Thank you for coming through.
Thanks so
Chopping it
much.
up with a young brother.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so impressed with what you're doing and what's going on here in this studio. So thanks for having me.
Right on. All right, so Cigar Vibes, Cognac Conversations. Usually the cigar represents the vibe. The cognac or whatever spirits we're drinking on represents the conversation. For starters, what you smoking on?
Oh, this is Aroma de Cuba. It's I've been smoking this brand for maybe about 10, 12 years or so, but this is a different blend. I think it's called Sicilian. Never had it, but it's a mid-level to robust type of.
I like that word, robust.
Right.
It makes me want to smoke that boy.
Yeah,
robust.
it is.
I want to smoke that.
Hey, it's got some heavy notes, you know. Well, I'm just now picking it up right now. I'd like to get through about half of the cigar to kind of get that discerning palate, pick up some things. So, but right now it's just kind of toasty, you know. Yeah.
Right on. Miss Lovey.
Yes.
What you puffing on?
I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. I was trying to know.
I thought it's your show, so you know. I don't know.
No, we are. It's Cigar Vibes, but we do uphold and salute
all those
to the good greeneries.
Okay, well, in that case, it's a little bit of wedding cake. It's my favorite daily strain. Shout out to the Hood Cuisine Show. He usually has a strain of the day. I don't know what his strain of the day is, but I'm just saying that's what I like to do. A nice, heady high sativa, anxiety calming blend during the daytime.
I too am familiar with that good old wedding cake in my days.
Look at you.
Salute. For a cigar, man, I'm smoking a new one myself too. The brand is Punch. I'm smoking the Punch 180 Anniversario.
What kind of taste does it have?
I'm new to it. It's the first time. I just sparked it up, so I'll be telling you about it. I couldn't find my cutter.
I was holding it for you because I didn't want you to get lost in the sauce.
Look, I done bought 2 new cutters. Like, man, what did I do with my illegal cutter, man?
That could be your Letta Jam in studio cutter.
Definitely.
Because I sure kept it right over here for you.
I'll show leave it.
So how do you go pick a new a new cigar?
So me being a young buck, I've been buying newer ones.
Okay.
checking them out, just exploring. There's so many out there. Um, Originally, I will say I do have a favorite brand. It's more of an older brand. It's been around for a while. The Oliva brand.
Yeah,
Um,
got a couple of those right now.
Oh.
It's such a variety out there. Some people might be like, but once something's my favorite, it's my favorite. It don't matter if it's something better or whatever.
Oh.
So I like Olivas.
Olivas.
Yeah, OLIVA.
Olivas.
Yeah.
Olivas.
So,
Olivas.
but when I'm outside of that, I'm usually out just checking out some pretty expensive ones, some top name brands, and even sometimes some house cigars. And I don't know if I like it if I double back on another day and I'm like, all right, I remember that one, that brand. I remember if it's a Robusto or Toro or whatnot, or Churchill. So I've had some pretty good ones that, they worth the smoke. And it's about the pairing too. So, Mr. Hurd, what about you?
Yeah, as far as like
you have a process?
New cigar? Oh well, yeah, I got a process, no doubt.
Okay.
So
he has a, what do you call it? A refined? What is it? A refined
palate?
Cigarette palate? I mean, cigar palate.
Cigar
Sorry,
palate, yeah.
my bad.
Or discerning palate.
Discerning.
The discerning
The
one.
spirit of
Exactly.
discernment in your lungs.
Yeah. Well, actually, you don't inhale the smoke of cigar. So if we could just start right there, just with some Cigar 101.
Okay.
If that's okay, right?
Most definitely.
So, like, if you think about these, or if you saw wine tasters on TV, and they're sniffing it, right? They're getting the nose, they're getting the bloom, all that, and then they take a swallow. They don't swallow, but then they swish it around, right?
I have a problem.
Right.
The not swallowing is a problem.
Well, check it out, because
don't look at me like that, Johnny, because I know how that sounded. But I'm talking about the wine tasting.
No, I'm confused.
No, but for real. So when they're done swishing it around, right? Then they spit it out, right?
I don't understand that part.
Now, it's only because they are tasting it. They're not trying to drink it. They are wine tasters. Okay, so but they are wine drinkers. But for that particular event, they are tasting wine. So now let's just kind of continue I'll say the comparison.
Okay.
When you take a draw, suck it, a cigar, and you bring it in and you're whisking that smoke around your tongue, roof, cheek, palate, all of that, and then you're blowing it right out. So it's not going in the lungs to try to have any type of chemical type of reaction.
Right.
Even though you get that through the blood because of tobacco and whatnot, does
in the
that.
mouth.
Exactly. So that's all that's happening from a quality smoke perspective. That's all that you're doing is you're almost like a wine taster, not drinker, a wine taster. So
you don't think it's like disrespectful?
What's
like,
disrespect? What do you think is
spitting out the wine? It's like
the wine,
perfectly good wine, and someone's spitting it out, and it's like.
Well, that's why I said I was confused. And then he answered it. I've never heard that.
Yeah,
that's how they do. They spit it back into the
They spit it out.
Yeah, when you were saying that, I know it was the joke, but I've never witnessed wine tasters or people. I know they swig it around. Yep. I've never seen anyone spit. So
I thought they just swallow it after they, swig it and then swallow, but they're spitting it out.
Well, there are different techniques, of course, with everything that you do, but traditionally they spit it out. And one reason that they do spit it out is because you think about the multiple, brands that you're going to taste. If you keep swallowing it, right, then you're going to, the reaction's going to happen, and you're not going to have this coherent type of a response to what it is that you're testing.
Brand. Okay.
Right? So it's like, if the higher and higher you get, the less specific you can be.
Yeah, I can understand.
That's kind of why they give you the coffee bean when you're smelling colognes.
Oh yeah, to clear the nostril. So it just keeps the basically you don't get too drunk before.
It makes sense,
before the end of the situation.
I just learned something at the beginning of the show right here. I never knew that they were spitting out wine. I thought it was disrespectful.
The way he's saying it, they spitting out wine. I was like, what?
I would have thought it was disrespectful too, being that these wines are so
rare or
highly priced.
Right.
Yeah, it's I know just about cigars and not wine, but that's that's what you're doing every sip. That's probably a $18 cigar. How much you pay for it?
I'd be lying if I told you.
Okay, let's
The
say
papers around here
I know
somewhere.
you have an Opus X, so that's probably about 18 to 21.
That one's 30.
$30, okay, the one that you have.
This,
So
this one here is about 16, 17.
yeah, so you think about this. You're doing that every time that you take a draw and you blowing it out. Nothing disrespectful about that. So that's what they're doing there.
But that's meant to do that.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the way you do it. That's not how you drink
We're
wine.
talking
That's
about
not
technique.
right. You right. We are.
We're talking about technique. Now, to answer your question, I'm sorry. What do I do? I've been smoking cigars since 2005, and
Okay.
like my brother to the left here, I was trying all the Boss brands, and this is Cuba and this is that, and really getting into those. And then over time, I started figuring out it's not the brand that I like, it's the tobacco that I like. So let me find out what type of tobacco that, say, Cohiba used in this particular stick, and then let me go find a lower brand and see if their game is just as tight. Exactly. So I find a lot of sleeper cigars based on the more expensive cigars that I smoke. So I look for the leaf instead of the brand these days. Now I still go for brand because I know what I'm gonna get.
Right.
But sometimes I'll have a little potluck and come up on a good one.
Right.
Yeah.
You just try randoms though, like let me try this and see what happens.
No, because it's disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
He said no dice. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I've been there. That's how I'm starting to research and know, okay, what I like, what I don't like, what's a good smoke, what's not a good smoke, whether it's the first quarter of the smoke, the mid, or you can smoke it all the way down like a doobie. But I paid attention. I ran across about 3 bad ones, and I was like, I won't be revisiting this.
Did you finish smoking it?
Huh?
Did you finish smoking it even though?
No, I just bought another one that was something I was more familiar with. And I was like, I won't. I've seen people leave a whole stick.
Oh, man.
Who've been smoking way more years than me. Say like this, I like Boss type of cigars.
I like the way that looks on camera. You're looking real fly there, looking real good. Cool, you know what I'm saying?
Fly type of brother.
I see that. Listen here, young man, cut it out.
But I I reverted back to something I knew because that one wasn't good. But I've seen people leave a whole stick in the ashtray after maybe 5 minutes of puffing, and they smoke longer than me, so they know, like, nah, this ain't it.
Exactly. And that's a cigar that someone didn't like, and it's strange when you find someone else who loves it, right? So that's just how we are. Like perfume, some perfumes you like, some colognes you like, some clothes you like, and the other ones hate it.
Right.
So it's just about you and what you like,
what you can.
When I talk about cigars, sometimes to people who just started in cigars, I'm from the South. I'm from Mississippi.
Where in Mississippi are you from?
Clarksdale.
Never heard of it.
Just south of Memphis by about 80 miles.
Memphis.
Yeah, so it's north.
Oh wait, Memphis,
Tennessee.
Oh, I thought you said Mississippi. Oh, okay. I got you. It's northern Jackson, like
way north of Jackson.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. So I try to create these metaphors or some analogies based on things that they've already experienced. So we all ate greens. Collard greens, cabbage greens, mustard greens. Turnip greens. So it's like, but they're all greens. Like tobacco. Tobacco isn't just tobacco, it's different, like marijuana strands. The soil properties determine how it tastes. Which leaf you get. Is it the broadband, which is closer to the ground, that's a little thicker and leathery, or is it the corona up at the top that's soft and subtle? And that's what you want to use for the wrapper. So then when you mix these different mix the different blends of tobacco or what have you, then you get different tastes, you get different flavors. It changes the flavor profile of any tobacco. So it's like mixing a pot of, if you ever did this before, you get a pot of turnips and mustard and mix them up together. It's a different taste, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of what's going on with tobaccos. If they say there's a Habano with a Criollo or Corojo or Ligero or Dominican or Nicaraguan, you know, and then you put all these together and you get something that's just, you know, sexy to the palate. That's what you want.
Right on.
Yeah.
You being a military man,
Yeah.
were you indulging in cigars every now and then in the military also? Or is that where it
Right.
started?
Well, yeah, it wasn't because of the military.
Well, no, I'm being that you were able to travel because I'm gonna go somewhere else with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But most of my traveling was early in the military. My cigars came on later in the military, but my cigar came from when I was stationed in Tampa, Florida. So Tampa used to be the cigar capital of the world.
Really? Oh,
So-
yeah, that makes sense.
So you know, when you go to different cities, you go to St. Louis, you want to check out the Arch or something like that, or some club that you heard about, right? So, so I took a tour and saw all the historical significance about Tampa and specifically Ybor City, where several factories were, and it kind of fascinated me. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna try a stick. But until 2005, I really didn't get into them. So, but ever since then, it's just skyrocketed.
What is preference wise? Dominican, Nicaraguan, or Cuban?
Nicaraguan. And most of the time, like you have like a Nicaraguan with a Cuban seed. It just happened to be grown in Nicaragua because the soil properties are very similar. Same as Dominican Republic.
Right.
So they'll take that seed, grow it over there because, you know, they don't have all those, the embargo, right, for Cuba. So they take that same Cuban seed and they grow it over there.
Have you had the experience of most likely smoking the Cubanos? Cuban?
I have a
I
question.
have.
Are they all they cracked up to be?
Not for me. I mean, there was some hype. It was a great cigar. The smoke that I had was, I think it was a Monte Cristo No. 2. I bought a whole box.
Okay.
Came from a friend of mine who was overseas, and I think he was in Saudi Arabia. He skipped over to Qatar, and then got me a box, and then I started, you know, just sipping on those, and you know, it was cool, but it wasn't work to me. Yep.
What's your
What was
question,
your
Lovey?
My question was, what makes I know there's cigars that are illegal in America, right? So what?
The Cubanos.
Right. So why is it illegal?
Political. Just politics.
It's not because of something that's in it,
No.
or you know, it's
Politics.
too strong, or
Politics. It's all about the embargo. I forgot what year it was.
Yeah, I know it, but I don't want to be on air
Yeah.
and not have it right. I just know that whichever president it was,
It was during the Kennedy administration, actually. So we're talking the 60s. You know, Kennedy was such an avid cigar smoker. He ordered, I think, 1,000, at least 1,000. I'm just going to say 1,000, stick it there. He knew the embargo. This is like some insider trading. He knew this was about to drop. And he got 1,000 Cuban cigars shipped to him before the embargo popped.
so which one cut off the imports of Cuban goods? Which president?
I'm going to say there's Kennedy. Yeah, I'm fairly confident it's Kennedy since he ordered the shit before he.
So
before
to
he
answer
did, yeah.
to answer your question, it's
Yeah,
all it was
it's politics,
someone over here cut off the import of Cuban goods.
right?
And that's why most of the people who smoke cigars, you hear them saying you got to go over there and experience it because it's hard to get over here. But they got their ways.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. but that's the thing is that it's like the things that you can't get, you want more of, right?
Value.
So
yeah.
it's like, you know, going back to my experience of having them, it was great, you know, but it's like, I can still get great with a Nicaraguan, you know, and pay half the price.
I've
Right.
noticed
You
that,
know?
but then again, I've never had I've had one. I had one Cuban, which was my very, very first cigar. You know, they say the two things you won't forget, you know, your first girlfriend or your first cigar. Well, I had a cousin who was older than me in Austin, and we were walking down 6th Street, and he had his hands on one from whoever he knew. And he was smoking. He passed it to me, and I smoked it, and I did the number one mistake. I hit it like you hit the weed.
Yeah, inhaled it.
Yeah, and I coughed up a lung
Everything.
and an arm
Yeah,
and a leg.
yeah.
And I had never smoked one. I'm like, man, bust it down. Let's roll it up.
That's what I said.
And that was my very, very first time talking about puffing a cigar.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older and know what they represent and I understand the culture,
Right.
here we are.
Right.
But, you know.
Yeah. I don't want to spend too much time on I do what I do, so
right on.
All good. But hey, I'm open to talk about any damn thing.
Let's see, man. I got a topic. It's been a rough week for me, right? With business, being new in the business. I'm probably gonna bring that topic up a lot of times, on a lot of platforms. You being a elder of mine, as well as a veteran. I was taught by a veteran who, my father was a Marine. Rest in peace. What do you do when you're a strong individual and you're on the breaking point? I ask because, through military training, being in the field, and then also you mentor veterans also, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So when you run across someone who you know personally or you met in the world who's a strong individual, and then they have so much stress and anxiety and feels like the world's coming down. They haven't done anything bad, but they may be facing a breaking point. How do you give me some advice, give me some guidance on that? Because that's what I've ran into this past 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's tight, and unfortunately, it's very common. It comes from, people who are very driven, and they want certain things, and they want it a certain way at a certain time. The one thing that you can be certain about is uncertainty always prevails. That's
certain about that,
right? Uncertainty always prevails. It may not always win, but it's going to be there. So you said about to break. That's an okay point to be, because you're bending right now. You're becoming flexible, and you're becoming agile, and you're responding. The thing is, you had a certain sense of awareness about where you are. So let's say, just from metaphorically, you driving a car in a ditch. A big old canyon is up forward. You just driving high, everything cool, top down, everything cool, and then you drive right off the cliff because you don't know the cliff is there. You know now the cliff is there, so now you have some action steps. You have to create a strategy to say, okay, I know where I am now. Where can I go from here?
Right.
And honestly, I saw your show where you recommended this book, Mindfulness. Mindfulness is so key because it allows you to understand and appreciate what's now. What's now? Not, the driven people. We look in the past and we're always rehashing what happened in the past, and then we're always looking forward in the future, and we're rehearsing. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to do it like this. I'm gonna do it like that. But we forget about what's happening right now. We're connecting the past to the future without analyzing the importance of now. And the only way you can go to the next step, right? This is general gap analysis, right? Where you want to be, where you are, and then you create a plan from there. So don't forget the importance of where you are now. Don't skip that step. That's the only way you can plan. Right now to the next step. Not from the past to the next step or the future. Right now to the next step. So that awareness and that mindfulness allows you to just slow down just for a minute, clear your head, and then move forward.
Definitely. just that little bit you said, when I hear these type of uh, words and guidance from my elders, when I do get a chance to talk to you guys, it confirms I'm doing the right thing. Because when I'm by myself, before I bring these topics up to anyone, and I rarely bring them up, I don't have too many people to vent to
Right.
or discuss these type of things with. But
Right.
when I hear anyone of an elder status tell me that, I'm like, okay, to myself, you're doing right, because I self-check. I'm always by myself. I'm always thinking when I'm wrong, when I'm right, when I need to apologize. I'm very big on that.
That's good.
So when I hear the people who lived it and done it before me, then I'm like, okay, stay on track, youngin. You got it. You got it. It just gets hard sometimes. So, but yeah, on that part,
Yeah. Well. Also, I mean, hey, you kind of, new in the business game,
right.
and when you're in that middle transition period, right? You just started, and now you're trying to get there, right? Well, that whole continuum is transition
Right.
till you achieve your goal. And let me tell you something y'all know about. Transition is ugly. That's what I used to tell a lot of my folks, is that we're in the process. So transition is ugly. If I was like, when I started growing my beard years ago, right? It started getting all stubbly and nappy and stuff, and I kept cutting it off because that's not what I want. So I'm starting all over again. So if you take it from a business perspective, it's like you keep starting, not you, but if you keep starting all over again, you're never going to get to where you need to be. So you have to suffer or push through all of those obstacles and hurdle them, knowing, if you know that you're doing it the right way, the transition is meant to be ugly. It is ugly. Any person who's trying to get a new hairstyle, they're trying to grow it out, or whatever they're trying to do, they got to get it to that point. And every time you look at it and say, this is not what I wanted, this is not what I hoped it would be, and you cut that shit back. But if you just stop, look at now, that mindfulness, right? And say, okay, today is, well, tomorrow is going to be different. The next day is going to be different. The next day is going to be different. And my transition is going to start looking a little bit more like my destination.
Love it.
Yes.
You're a business owner, strong Black woman, entrepreneur, starting this station and supporting the artists, giving artists an outlet, independent artists an outlet, and even managing and signing your own artists.
Nice.
When you got into it, you were starting, you knew that's what you wanted to do, but you probably didn't know how. I don't know if you researched it or whatnot, but did you run across them anxieties, like, am I really built for this? What am I doing? I knew I wanted to do it, but I said I wanted to do it, but now I'm here and shit, I'm scrambled.
Most definitely. A lot of it has to do with just the different people that you have to end up interacting with and coming across and dealing with, and different, being in the military or moving around my whole life, I'm very adaptable. Excuse me. A lot of as far as adjusting, in different situations and different environments. But, the music game has so much of a facade there that it makes it difficult to sometimes achieve some goals, or even convince or show someone something or tell something to them, because they already have these preconceived notions based on popular culture, movies, or, whatever childish fantasy they have about achieving what they think their dream is, rather than treating it like the business that it is. And, it was a lot. And hell no, I didn't think it was going to be like that. Like, coming out the military, shit, motherfuckers surprised me dealing with civilians after dealing with military people. It's like they don't have the same code, so you have to really sort through, like, the genuineness in people, or the stuff, the good, whatever good that might be in there, and try to connect to that, rather than, because you got people that are damaged, they have bad just social habits or no social habits. No, don't have any kind of integrity, honesty, or it's all about they move from a complete space of survival. You know, it's not compassion or empathetic. It's just very like, I gotta survive, so I gotta do this, and I'm doing it for the bag, so it's okay. You know, that's the notion. So, you know, hell, I already have anxiety, so it made it like 10 times worse, and I had to push through it and, you know, make certain adjustments to make it be successful.
Find myself pushing through a lot. I definitely tell myself it's gonna be all right, and I mean, I'm sharing this for the first time really on air here with you guys, but just within this week and 2 weeks, I've had to be you guys to someone else, some other people. People actually make calls. Something it's not really, it don't really matter. People don't know, but people actually call and want advice from me or guidance. Man, I'm having a rough one. What would you do? And I'm like, shit, who am I? But that they watching my moves or they admire something that I'm doing, and I'm still like, shit, what am I doing?
Right.
But I know that I gotta push. So I give some good advice and good guidance out there myself. Is it cool to take a pause? We know you're not. Don't quit. We know that if that's something you really want. Is it cool to take a pause?
It definitely is, just like now, because we're going to take a small pause and we're going to be right back. And when we come back, we're going to have some more stuff to discuss right here on
Cigar Vibes, Cognac Conversations, baby.